Some of the greatest seducers, male and female, were not good looking at all. Seduction is a language. It's not a language of words. It's a language of gestures that we're paying attention to.
The game in seduction is to lower those walls, to make them thinner and thinner, to find penetrating points so you can enter inside their mind, inside their defenses. And so when you're not there, they're thinking about you. Listen carefully to the other person. They're going to say things about what they love, about their likes, their dislikes. Instead, they're going to reveal some of their personality. You want to get them to talk a lot and you don't hardly say anything.
The seducer is not someone who's all worried about him or herself and thinking. They're involved in the other person. They're absorbed like a sponge. What makes for a great seducer is very simple. I can summarize it very simply. You are outer directed. So when you meet somebody for the first time, or you're on a date or whatever it is, you're not having that internal monologue going, does she like me or does he like me? Am I dressed well? Am I saying stupid things? What can I do to impress them? No. You turn it off and you're outer directed and you're listening to them and you're entering their spirit and you're hearing them say things that give you idea of what they're missing in life, of what they want, of what their needs are, of what makes them an individual. You're absorbing it, you're entering into their spirit, and then you can reflect it back to them. You can give them gifts, you can take them to places that show that you're attentive to them. Because if you look at how we are in our day-to-day life, normally people never pay us attention. They're always so self-absorbed, they're never thinking about us. The times where you get the sense that people are actually interested in who you are as an individual is pretty rare. If you give that feeling to someone, it's incredibly powerful because we all want to be validated. We all want to be recognized. So the seducer is not someone who's all worried about him or herself and thinking. They're involved in the other person. They're absorbed like a sponge inside their psychology, inside their world. Anti-seducer has many qualities. I have a whole chapter on the anti-seducer. I try and define it. But one quality that's very anti-seductive is preaching and moralizing, is like telling people, oh, that's wrong what you just said, or your politics are ugly, or you're not really good at this, or something or other. Having a moral superiority, a sense of sanctimonious in a realm which should be about pleasure, where should be that kind of equality, that kind of back and forth dynamic, where you're asserting your moral superiority, is deeply, deeply anti-seductive, the element of preaching to people. You want to be open, you want to give as much as you can to the other person of yourself, of your time, of your money, of your energy, etc. So being all kind of crimped and I don't want to give, I don't want to spend money, I want to take you to the cheap place to eat, I don't want to give you much time, is very, very anti-seductive. Now there is a part of weakness that is seductive. So I would say vulnerability is seductive, but insecurity is anti-seductive. And there's a big difference. Because if I can define seduction in simple terms, most of the time we are closed to the influence of other people. Particularly now, we have these walls up because life is harsh. People are coming at us with their advertisements, with their pleas, with their wanting money, with this, that, and the other. And we've all learned to be very defensive, right? And seduction is an openness, is the opposite of that. And you felt it when you were a child towards your parents. You felt very vulnerable and open. And there was an element of your parents and how they treated you that was very much like a seduction, right? So seduction is about being open to the other person to the extent where you can even fall in love. You can fall under their spell. And the sense of letting go of your ego, letting go of your defensiveness, and letting another person enter your world is being seduced. It requires vulnerability. If you meet, the typical scenario is of a man who's not vulnerable at all. He's so powerful and in control and everything, has no vulnerabilities. It's frightening. For a woman, it could be very frightening. Like he's so strong, he's so invulnerable that there's something wrong about it. Maybe he's a serial killer. Maybe he's got skeletons in his closet. Something isn't right about that. What seduces you about a puppy, about a child, about an animal, is their vulnerability. It makes you want to hug them. It makes you want to help them, right? The sense which if you came upon a tiger that's there and they don't need that, well, that's not seductive. I mean, on your screen it is. But if they're there in your living room, that's not seductive. But that puppy is, right? Vulnerability, the sense that somebody needs protection or help, brings out qualities in us that we don't normally have that I think allow for seduction. So that is being vulnerable. That is, I can be influenced by that other person. I am open to their spirit, right? That's being vulnerable. The word vulnerable comes from the root of it means a wound, vulnus. So you have a wound inside of you and you need healing. And the other person naturally wants to help you. But being insecure is means I'm so self-absorbed, I'm so worried about myself that I can't get out of it. And we've all had that experience. When you meet somebody and you can sense, you can smell their insecurity in them, it makes you feel insecure. It makes you feel a little bit awkward. Whereas if you meet someone who's not like that, who's confident, etc., it brings out that quality in you. So if you're on a date and there's someone you smell that kind of insecurity, it makes you awkward and insecure. It creates a kind of a problem. So that would be the difference between the two. So first of all, we live in a culture where people think you shouldn't have to put effort into something like love and romance. You should just be who you are, man. I don't have to put on a role. I don't have to play a game. That's manipulative, blah, 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 blah. No, I'm sorry. Love and romance is something that is almost biological. If you look at animals and mating rituals, they're incredibly elaborate. Seduction is a mating ritual. And so the worst thing you can feel is that this person isn't putting any effort into something. Let's just say it's from the woman's point of view. This man, he just shows up wearing jeans and his usual sloppy outfit. He doesn't comb his hair. He takes me to the pub for dinner on our first date. You know, he's not thinking about me. He's not willing to put any effort into it. What's it going to be like 3 months down the line when he completely takes me for granted, which is what happens in a relationship? Am I not important enough? Whereas the ability to have a little bit of effort, I'm going to dress nicely. I just have to be fancy. Just that I'm going to put some effort into how I look. I'm going to take her to a place. I'm not talking about candle lights and roses and that kind of crap. You can be creative. It can be somewhere that's scuzzy, that's on the wrong side of town, but it's different and it's appealing and you put some thought into it. There's a reason you're taking her there. Seduction is a language. It's not a language of words. It's a language of gestures that we're paying attention to. We're paying attention to people's body language. We're paying attention to their actions, to the things that they never say. To win over someone like, let's say you're a man and it's a woman who might be reluctant to have sex for good reason or reluctant to have a relationship, requires some effort. It requires some thinking. You can't just hack your way. You can't just swipe and get it. You can have your internet sex, but you're not going to get that in real life. It doesn't work that way. It takes time. It takes patience, and you're going to have to work at, and you're going to be rejected. Being with people is a skill. Being a social animal, although there's a part that comes naturally, if you spend all of your time here, you're losing that skill of how to respond to people's body language. Half of the thing is you're sitting in a bar opposite, let's say it's a woman, and how she crosses her legs, how she sips her drink, how she looks at you, how she touches her hair. She's signaling things. It's a language. It's a beautiful language, right? You have to learn it, and you're not going to learn it here because you can't. You have to be in person. It has to be skin to skin. You have to get a feel what other people are thinking and feeling. And we're actually really, really good at that. That's what makes us human. It's called mirror neurons. I can sense what's going on in your mind. I can read your body language. You have to get out in the world and you have to put yourself physically out there and try and have rejection. And I know it sounds awful, but it is a skill in a way. where you're learning how to understand and deal with people and understand who they are and get inside their spirit. It takes time and effort and patience. So for young men, you have to realize that, right? If you think everything has to be easy and quick, it's never going to work for you.
So I want you to think of seduction in the following way. The people around you, all around you in your daily life, they have these kind of walls that are erected to protect themselves from intruders, protect them from advertisers, to protect them from people who are meddling in their life, to protect them from all the other intrusions that are continually distracting them. People, particularly in the 21st century, are very defensive. They have very thick walls around them. They're not necessarily interested in who you are. They're not interested in your ideas, in having a relationship with you, in anything about you. They're naturally resistant to you. The game in seduction is to lower those walls, to make them thinner and thinner, to find penetrating points so you can enter inside their mind, inside their defenses. And so the ultimate power is when you're not there, when after an encounter with you or whatever, they're thinking about you when you're not there. You have entered their mind, you've entered their inner space, and you've occupied, in a positive way, hopefully, their inner worlds, and they're thinking about you even though you're not there. That is the game, the art of seduction, okay? Now, think of seduction as a language. That's what I try and tell people in the art of seduction. But it is a language that is mostly nonverbal. And your game is to learn that language, to master it, much as you would master French or whatever other language there is. Okay? So what is this language? Well, it's a language of gesture. It's a language of body language. It's a language of energy that you feel off of another person. So if someone is trying to seduce you, or you're trying to seduce someone, and you're too obvious about it, and it's too clear what you're up to, and you're saying all the right cliched lines that people say in order to seduce, it just makes those walls thicker and thicker and thicker. It's too clear. People become more and more resistant, right? But if they don't even know that you're trying to seduce, if it's something that's in your energy, it is in your personality, you don't have to say a word. You have charisma. You are a siren. You are a rake. You are the natural, all the 9 types of seducers. Then you don't even have to try. It's something that emanates from your personality, and it attracts people to you without you ever saying a word. So part of that language is your own energy, your own kind of confidence and inner security that emanates out of you and that draws people to you. And that is incredibly seductive. It is a language of gestures. So when you go on a date or you take someone somewhere, it's not what you say and everything that you do. It's the place that you take them to. It's not something that they expected. It's a surprise. It's a place that they've never been to before, that's different, that's not predictable. That is part of the seductive language. When you give them a gift, it's not a gift that's obvious, that is, flowers or something like that, or something that costs a lot of money. It's a gift that shows that you're thinking about them, that you understand their spirit. So for instance, I tell people, listen carefully to the other person. They're going to say things about what they love, about their likes, their dislikes. So they're going to reveal some of their personality. You want to get them to talk a lot and you don't hardly say anything. And in the course of revealing something that they love, a light bulb goes on in your head and you go, I can give them a gift after a couple of weeks of seeing them that reflects this particular thing they mentioned once, that reveals to them that I was listening, that I understood, that I absorbed their idea, their spirit. And I go, wow, this person was actually hearing me. How thoughtful, right? It's a gesture. You don't have to say anything. On and on, on and on. You're learning these languages. You are learning what excites people, what triggers their level of fascination, what would repel them and repulse them. So you want to create a degree of mystery. You want to send mixed signals. They don't know exactly who you are. There's an element of, I don't really know this person. What they do tomorrow, I can't really predict. Wow, how exciting. So in the course of that, you're thinking about them. It's a language of absence and presence. If you're too much in people's face, if you're texting them every day, if you're emailing them and calling them all the time, there's no sense of mystery. You're not giving them any space. But if you allow 2 days or 3 days to go by where you don't call them, all right, you might think it's a little bit cruel, but no, that's part of seduction. It's part of the mating game. Don't worry about cruelty. Cruelty is part of seduction, actually. You have to be a little bit cruel, okay? So you wait a few days. In that space, they're going, maybe he or she doesn't like me that much. Maybe there's something I said that was wrong. And they start thinking about you, and they start trying to think about what they can do to please you. You've got them then. You've seduced them. The moment they're starting to think about you, that's half the game. And if you're constantly in their face, you can't allow that to happen. But if you're too absent, if 2 weeks go by and you're never there, you're just going to make them angry. You're just going to make them forget you. You're going to think that you're not trustworthy. You have to know the delicate balance between absence and presence. When to be there and when to disappear for a day or two, right? Not to answer their texts right away. Give them a little space to fantasize about you, to think what you might be doing in your absence. On and on and on and on. A language of gesture, of behavior, of things that you do, of places that you take them to, about your energy, about when you're there and when you're not there, the level of mystery that you can. If you can master that language and get people to think about you and be fascinated with you, nothing else matters. You don't have to be the handsomest and most beautiful woman in the world. You will seduce them because seduction is a game of psychology. It's a game of entering into their spirit, entering into their mind space, and making them think about you. You master that game, and you'll be able to seduce almost anyone.